morning, and Michelle Graham, my partner, is with me. And this is a COVID foreclosure support webinar. And as Michelle said, we really just want to be there to help people know their options and their alternatives if a foreclosure is coming about or even a possibility. We decided to do this webinar because we've been told that a lot of people are behind in their mortgage payments, and they just don't know what to do, and especially during this COVID time. So let me tell you a little about Michelle and I. We have a combined experience of over 40 years in real estate. And over the years, we have helped many people through the foreclosure process. So that's why we wanted to do this. I think people want their questions answered. So we hope that we are able to help you answer those questions. And if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat room. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the time over to Michelle so she can go ahead with the foreclosure support webinar. Thank you. Take it over, Michelle.
Hi, guys. Good morning. A couple of things I want to talk about before we really start talking about the notices of default and what we are understanding right now is the state of that is, in the first place, we are not attorneys. This is not legal advice, and these are our disclaimers. And we are not CPAs. This is not financial advice, but we are specialists, and we are certified to work with notices of default. And in 2008, we're certified to work with the lenders and the banks that were foreclosing and had REOs, inventory. An REO is once the bank has foreclosed on the property, they take it in-house. And so the REO stands for real estate owned by the bank because they have foreclosed on it and taken it back. That's a whole nother process. But it is what brings us to where we are today because of our experience and our certifications and working with homeowners who are in default on their mortgages. And those then, once they're foreclosed on, the bank has the REO. So the first thing that I think we want to share with you is that and most of you probably are aware, or maybe you're not, some of the calls that we have received from some of our clients and potential clients is that they don't know what's going to be happening. They are behind on their payments. And so that you do know this right now, lenders are not foreclosing. They're not allowed to, according to the governor's mandate. They cannot foreclose on your property at this time, just like we can't evict renters that are behind on their rent. So we have Jennifer is well connected in the banking industry through some of her networks and because she used to be in the banking business. And then we have several good friends and clients who were loss mitigation officers with the lending institutions. Loss mitigation officers are individuals inside of the lending institution, be that a bank or mortgage company or private funds. Then the mitigation officers deal with properties that have notices of default on them or that are facing foreclosure. And we've been talking to those people for a couple of months now about what they foresee happening. And to give you some peace of mind, I think what will help is that their opinion, and it's their opinion, and the word on the streets is that the lenders are not going to be so fast to foreclose as they were in 2008 and 2009. The process with that in California is once a homeowner is 90 days delinquent on their mortgage payments, then it is posted, and they're still posting those as notices of default, meaning that a homeowner is 90 days behind on their payment. And then in California, unlike other states, you have 30 days to perform. In California, once you're posted as a notice of default, you're 90 days late, you have 90 days to cure that. A lot of the lenders will not let you cure that in the last 2 weeks of that second 90-day period because previously they were moving forward to take it to auction. Now, none of that is happening. The courts are closed and they're not allowed to put that kind of pressure on homeowners. So you have longer than that, I'm sure. But the typical process would be a notice of default is posted, and we can still see those in the tax records when we look that someone's 90 days delinquent because the notice of default is posted. because at whatever point, then the lenders are allowed to come back and talk to the property owners about a trustee sale, which is auctioning off the property if the debt's not cured in the second 90 days. So let me back up a second. That again, that is not happening right now, and we don't know when it's going to happen again. And the word on the street from the advisors that we've talked to, our friends and attorneys and things, that they're saying that the banks are probably not going to be as quick to foreclose as they were in 2008, 2009, that they're more inclined to be open to helping you work out a repayment plan. There are a lot of different options that you have under normal circumstances where you can, talk to your lender, talk to your mortgage company. Some don't have the mortgage company has turned it over to a servicer. Those companies work for lending institutions to manage the mortgage and escrow funds for taxes and insurance. So in some cases, your notice of default is being posted by a servicer and not the actual lender. So look at those letters that you're getting. If you're getting letters from your mortgage company or the servicer who's managing your mortgage, and contact them and let them know what your situation is and see if you can start. Yeah.
I'm going to just ask, we've got a couple of questions coming up. Do you mind taking a few questions?
Sure.
Okay, before you go on, somebody just really wants a basic question answered. What is a foreclosure? I'm not so sure whether I qualify or not. Can you help answer that question?
A foreclosure is when the bank takes the property back. They foreclose on it so that they actually own it. So let me go back to in normal times, when you're 90 days delinquent, they post the notice of default, then you have 90 days to cure that. And if you don't, then the lender assign your delinquent mortgage to a trustee. And then the trustee will send you a letter of the notice of trustee sale. And that letter tells you that you have 21 days. Legally it's 20 days, but the first of the 20 days is the day after they mail the letter. So you have 21 days before it actually is going to be auctioned at the courthouse steps. Sometimes before COVID, when they were doing those, on occasion the auction was actually at the property, but typically no one's going to come and look at your property to see if they want to buy it or not. They just have to go with the money to the auction in Norwalk at the courthouse. And that was typically on the first Tuesday of the month. So that's the notice of trustee sale. You have 21 days from the time that letter is mailed to you to know that your home is going to be auctioned. And when it is auctioned, if for any reason it doesn't sell, if it sells that day, then you'll be notified immediately that there's a new owner that has purchased the property and that you need to get out. And that owner is going to show up with the documentation to show that they bought your house at auction if you haven't already vacated the property. If it does not sell at the auction for whatever reason, then the lender takes the house back. They take the deed, they have it assigned back into their name. That's when you're actually foreclosed on. So if it sells at auction, you don't get foreclosed on, it just gets sold. And if it does not sell at the auction, then the lender takes it back as an REO, real estate owned by the bank, and then they call us. They call whatever realtor is working for them at that time, and they usually have 2 or 3 in every community, and they let us know that they now have this property, and they send us a letter that we need, and we go to the property and knock on the door and see if it's occupied or if it's vacant. If it's occupied, we ask if they're the renter or if they're the homeowner, and are you aware that the bank now owns your property and you have 30 days to get out. And sometimes they'll offer cash keys and sometimes they don't. So that's basically in a nutshell.
Okay, here's another question we have that just came in that goes along with this, Michelle. Is there any alternative that I have for foreclosures? I've been getting some letters and I just don't know what to do, and I'm afraid to call my lender. Okay,
don't be afraid to call your lender. You need to do that right away. And let me say this too. Again, we started with your lender may be the mortgage company Or it may be, there's two things I want to talk about here, and I tend to digress, but I want to talk about those letters. And then I want to talk about, do not be afraid to talk to your servicer or your mortgage company or whoever it is that you send your mortgage payments to. Don't be afraid to talk to them. There's nothing they can do to you right now. And they're in a position where they probably are going to want to help you work out what your options are. Options typically are a loan modification, which is kind of like refinancing your property, but you don't have all those fees. The bank just asks you to fill out a current financial statement about what the hardship is or what the income is, and see if they can modify your loan, which would lower your payments a little bit, which is not going to help if you're behind a lot, but you can maybe start up making some payments that would reduce your mortgage by $4 or $5 or $6 or $700 a month, depending on if you're financially qualified for the loan modification, which is like refinancing. The other is called a forbearance, where they take what you owe, what you're behind, and they add that on to the end of your loan.
Oh,
And
okay.
so don't be afraid to talk to your lender. But about those letters, a lot of those letters are very official looking letters, like they're coming from a government entity stating that your house is going to be foreclosed on or it's going to be sold at auction. And that may be an investment group. It could be a group of investors, or it could be someone that's just trying to frighten you into thinking that the sheriff is going to come lock you out of your house in 30 days and that you need to sell it to them right now, or you need to sell it right now to prevent the foreclosure. The sheriff is not going to come lock you out. They are not. You have to go through the foreclosure process. You have to go to court. The courts are closed. The sheriff has to have a court order to come and lock the door and put you out, and you would have received a lot of notifications before then. So I encourage you to call us, talk to us. If those letters look so official that they're scaring you, scan those and send those to us, and we can investigate those for you and kind of let you know who they came from. But don't be afraid to talk to your lender and do a workout. There's a lady that we helped recently who was in default, and we'll call her Linda. And she was more than 90 days past due. And this was prior to COVID. The courts were open, and she was going to have to go to a trustee sale. And we were able to list her townhouse for her. Two things is, we have some investors who will buy a property as is, current condition. You don't have to fix it up, paint it, or anything, because they're going to flip it. Those buyers typically have cash, and they will close your escrow in a matter of 10 days, so that you have your cash. And that's what we did with Linda. We did put hers on the market because we thought we could find a buyer that would pay more for it than an investor would. She had to move out. She was not going to be able to recover financially to be able to pay off her mortgage or even bring it current. So she had to downsize and change her lifestyle. And we felt like once we saw her property that we could sell it for more for her than what an investor was going to pay for it. And it ended up, that's exactly what happened. It was another investor who bought it, but he buys a lot in that neighborhood and really wanted the house. So he did pay more than what the other people were offering. And it was cash, and they closed in 10 days. And he gave her 45 days to move out. So she had her equity out of her house. And that's the biggest difference right now with homeowners who are in default. And we've talked about that several times, Jennifer, with some people who have called us, is that in 2007, 2008, 2009, people were doing short sales because they were upside down when they were in default on their mortgages. And they owed more on the house than what it was worth at that time. So that's a short sale. They were selling it for short of what they owed on the mortgage, and then your lender has to approve that. Right now, because of the way that we recovered from those years, a lot of the homeowners who are in default do have equity. We don't know what's going to happen as we move through COVID and people are not financially in recovery and they're going to be forced to move. Right now, it is still a seller's market. The last 3 homes that we've sold in the last couple of weeks, we've had multiple offers on, and buyers were bidding it up a little bit. So, and those people were not in default, but it is an opportunity if you need to sell now. and have some equity and have some cash in order to be able to move. What was the question again? Oh, those letters. So don't ignore who your lender is, and don't ignore talking to them, and don't be afraid. Start now explaining what your financial situation is, see if they can help you start with a workout.
Michelle?
Yeah.
Can you tell them what the process is? I mean, how does it start? How many months do they have to be late? And then they start using the
well, I'll go
letters?
to it. Yeah, we kind of talked about that already, so I don't want to be too redundant, but at 90 days, when you're 90 days delinquent on your mortgage is when the notices of default get published with the tax assessment office with the county. And that's when everybody can see it. And that's when realtors start knocking on your door saying that you need to sell. I know you're in default. So, but in California, when that notice of default is posted, and if you're not sure of your date, again, call us or email us. We can look that up for you and let you know when the notice of default was, the date that it was posted. You have 90 days from that day to bring it current. But as each month goes by, then you're going to owe 4 months, and you're going to owe 5 months, and you're going to owe 6 months. But you do have 90 days to cure it. And right now you probably have more than that because the courts are not open. It's our understanding from a couple of attorneys that we've spoken with. The courts are supposed to, we have a probate attorney that we work with, and we have an eviction attorney that we work with a lot. And they have advised us that the courts are supposed to reopen November the 15th. I was told the other day by a real estate attorney that we work with that it is unlikely, that he expects that they won't reopen until the first of the year. But right now, most attorneys are thinking that they're going to be able to be back in the courtroom and start processing their files on November the 15th as it stands. So again, that's rumor. We're not attorneys. We don't know. I'm just telling you what we've heard from those that are in that industry. So that's kind of the process, Jennifer. And if at the end of that 6 months, you're not able to work something out with your lender in typical times, if you're not able to work something out with your lender, then that's when you get the notice of trustee sale, the letter. It'll take a week or so for the trustee to process that, but the date that's on that letter, that's a notice of trustee sale, that is an official letter. And if you're doubting that it's official, again, call us, because we can go into the tax records and we can look up the number, the phone number of the trustee that has been assigned, and see if it matches what you got on your letter. So just know we're here as a free resource for that, for you to call us, and anytime we can tap right into that and let you know if that's legitimate or not. Okay,
here a question just came in from Facebook, Michelle. Why would I want to do anything now? If the courts aren't open,
don't do anything now except talk to your lender. That's the biggest thing, is don't hide in the sand, and just let them know what the circumstances are, and so that you're on their list then as someone who has tried to approach them and tried to let them know what your financial situation is and when and if you expect to recover financially, and ask them for their help. Ask them if they know when they're going to be able to start that process again of trustee sales, and if there's extensions of time, because that's changing every day, and what the federal government and the state government is handing down to the lenders is what they're allowed and not allowed to do, and their time frames changes weekly, as you know from watching the news and stuff. So talk to them and ask them. Let me say this, this is really important. Sometimes depending on who your lender is, if it's a major bank, if it's Chase or B of A or a lending institution, you'll be able to reach someone in their loss mitigation department, in their foreclosure department, in your mortgage department. With receivers or servicers, sometimes you may have trouble reaching them. And if that's the case, I want you to please write this down right now. There is, in Washington, D.C., there is a council. It's called the Housing. Their website is www.hope, H-O-P-E, www.hopenow.com. It's a housing policy council in Washington, D.C. They have a toll-free phone number, 888-995 HOPE. I think that's their number, 888-995-HOPE. And their website again is www.hopenow.com. They are a housing policy council. They do not charge you for their services. They are there to help you figure out how to contact the receiver and give you the avenues to, if you can't reach your lender and you can't reach the servicer, then call them. Or go to their website. They also have a chat thing where you can email them and they will help you. So keep that in your pocket and they may know more than we get local information about what the outcome is going to be eventually when they do start the foreclosure process again. Right now, you don't have to do anything other than that unless you need your money. If you need your equity out of your house, then call us and talk. If you don't know how much your equity is, again, all this is free advice we want to share with you, and we can look that up in a minute and let you know, give you an estimate of what we think that your equity is, because some people need to move and they want to do it now before the market gets flooded with houses for sale and it turns into a buyer's market rather than a seller's. So every case like that's going to be different. Just give us a call. We're happy to talk to you about it.
Okay. Michelle, I put in the chat room that website, but can you tell me that phone number again?
888-995-HOPE. 4673. Yeah, 888-995-4673. I'm looking at my phone to figure out what HOP is. It's 4673.
Okay, I put that in the chat room also for everybody. Awesome. Okay. Michelle, what do you see? Somebody asked about the real estate market in general. I know we're talking about foreclosures today, but what are you seeing out there in general in the real estate market? And what does the inventory look like? Because all I hear from the question is there's not enough inventory. What does that really mean? Can you help this person?
Yeah, well, I wish we could. I mean, again, that's changing every day, and it is very, very neighborhood specific. I will tell. Let me just frame it in the neighborhoods that we know. We work all over California. We've recently sold homes up in the Napa area of Pleasanton and in Huntington Beach. I mean, we are all over California. Although we are based in the South Bay, and when inventory is low, it means that there's more buyers than there are sellers. Basically, it's all about supply and demand. So right now, two things that we've noticed a lot recently is a year ago, even 9 months ago, fixer-uppers were selling like crazy. Every HGTV fan and every first-time home buyer and every investor was looking for a fixer-upper. And homeowners were not having to make a lot of repairs and improvements to their houses. And those homes were getting multiple offers and they were getting bid up to some extent, especially if it's someone that wants to occupy the home because of the school district or because of the neighborhood. They try to outbid the investors, and the investors have a ceiling. They have a price point, and if the house starts getting bid up, they won't go beyond that because of their formula, how that works. So in most of the neighborhoods in the South Bay, we are finding limited inventory. There are more buyers than there are sellers. We are also finding not so many fix and flip buyers. The last few homes that we have sold were already remodeled or renovated, and that's what people are looking for. They're looking for safe harbor. If they're renting or their home too small for them, and they're staying home all the time now, working from home, and COVID has kind of changed their heart and how they feel about where they live, and they're looking for their forever home. And they're buying homes that are already renovated that they can just move right into. So I expect that will change based on the financial circumstances and as the burden continues, because at first everyone thought we could survive this for 30 to 45 days, and then we thought, all right, well, we're 3 months into it and surely it's close to an end, and some people are recovering and some people never realized a hardship. They're working from home and getting paid as if they were, you know, as they were before COVID started. So, so it's so unpredictable right now. But we do have two programs. There are people that we work with, lenders that we work with, who will, if you have equity in your house and you cannot afford to fix the curb appeal and fix the roof or paint, they will do it for you, and you can pay them when escrow closes. So again, if you have some questions about how that works, you want to make some renovations, some of our homeowners just, it's a matter of pride with them because they haven't been able, especially senior citizens, either physically or financially haven't been able to keep up and make improvements to the house, and it's a matter of pride with them, and they want to do some things before they put it on the market, and they don't have the means to do that. There are resources available for that.
Okay, well, wonderful. Michelle, is there any parting words you'd like to let our audience know before we wish them a fabulous Saturday and goodbye?
You know, I think let me tell you how we got here, so that you kind of understand that 40 years ago, my home was being foreclosed on. It was a divorce. It was at a time when a lot of people were losing their jobs and there were a lot of foreclosures. Bankruptcies are going on, and we won't even talk about that because you don't have to worry about it yet. But once they do start to foreclose in the future, you can also file bankruptcy, and bankruptcy attorney can help you figure that out. That'll stall the trustee sale. But I lived in Texas at that time, and I was a single mom going through a not so pleasant time with the divorce, and it was Christmas. In Texas, at 30 days, if you're 30 days delinquent, you're posted in default at that time, and you had 30 days to cure it. So my kids, my sister was my roommate, and you know, we were wrapping Christmas presents and decorating the tree, and I was in the business. I was in the commercial side, but it was all new to me, and I was calling my lender and trying to figure out what I could do, and everybody that I talked to, all they wanted was money. They're like, well, you can just send us the money, catch up on your payments, and you'll be fine. And at that point in time, it wasn't an option for me. And we listed the house for sale, but I was afraid of the sheriff coming to my door on Christmas or New Year's and, you know, telling us we had to get out. My kids had no idea what was going on. And so that is what started my path to really understanding, because no one could help me. No one that I talked to could help me. And the mortgage company, all they wanted was the money. And so I started researching how that process works and getting as much free legal advice as I was able to find. And that's why this is so much in our heart. And that the parting words, Jennifer, would be, especially right now with the situation with the courts and everything, is just relax. Relax, and let's figure this out, and call us if you need the resources to help you figure it out. But just relax right now and enjoy your home, and then figure out what the best solution is. And the only way to do that is to start finding resources that are available to you and understand what your options are, so that you can start making a plan on your exit strategy. And your exit strategy may be staying if you can draw money from somewhere and get current. But my parting words are, just take a deep breath and relax, and no one's going to come lock you out of your house right now. So.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have put our contact information in the chat box, but I'll let you know here what it is. Our phone number is 310-465-2334. Or Michelle's email is Michelle with one L Brown at kw.com. MICHELE Brown at kw.com.
Sounds like the Mickey Mouse song. MICKEY.
All right, everybody, we'll say our goodbyes. Thank you for joining us. And I'm sure we'll be doing this again, but please follow up if you've got any questions. We sincerely are here to help you and to do what's best for you, whatever that is. So give us a call or email. Thank you. See you later. Bye, everyone.